Welcome into another episode of the Three Fever Point After Podcast. I'm Alex Anderson, my co-host Jeff Harper, Bossier offensive coordinator in the house. And Coach, pretty wild week of high school football across our area last week. I guess we start with Airline and Evangel. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the outcome at all. Some of the stuff that I saw on social media after the game was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was some good stuff out there.
Stuff, I heard there were things on people's vehicles too after the game.
Yeah.
But not surprised by the outcome at all. It seemed to be very competitive and came down to, what was the final, 51-48, 51-49?
Yeah, something like that. And I loved how, we talked about this on the show that night, and we go into that matchup, you talk about Kenny Darby and you talk about Pop Houston, and the play that changed the game is two kids we've never said the names of on Friday Football Fever. That's just high school football to a T.
Yeah, you just never know who's going to step up in the big game and make a name for themselves.
Love it. And when you look at now, obviously Evangel in the driver's seat, so to speak, in 1-5A, just by knocking off Airline. But something tells me that this district's going to be a little more complicated than what we just saw.
Yeah. First of all, we've only played 4 weeks.
Right.
In everything, once you get past that week 5, week 6 mark, now it's kind of a war of attrition. You've got guys that are injured. You've got teams that have, had a pretty tough schedule. Or maybe even a lighter schedule now, start playing tougher games. Like our schedule at Bossier, we're really backloaded with our tougher opponents there toward the end. So a team may be hot going into that midpoint of the season, and that all of a sudden now they start playing back-to-back opponents that are really, really good. So this is the fun part of high school football too, though. Is the weather starts to change a little bit. It's getting darker early. Hopefully it will. Hopefully, looking at the forecast, it's going to be blazing hot Friday. But it is nice when it starts hitting those 80s, 70s, 60s, and it's darker earlier,
right.
And now you're really in for the festivities of Friday night football.
Yeah, every game at this point means so much. You get into these district contests. One that obviously meant a ton to two communities last week was North DeSoto and Northwood, and unfortunately for the Falcons, I think that game kind of went the way that many of us thought it would.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised by the score, to be honest. I thought, they could score the ball on North DeSoto, but I think was it 54-26 or something like that. So it was a very competitive ball game, but North DeSoto is they're just different.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really good, and they know they're good. That's the other part of this too. Is they know they're good, and they're going to put their foot on your throat, and they're going to crush you if they can, and they put you away early. And so that was really the big hurdle of their schedule. To be honest with you, the rest of the game set up nice for them, and so just watch out.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I think a Dennis Dunn team is going to, deal with complacency, and they're not going to allow themselves to get complacent, because there are really good teams that they're going to still play. But the Loyola game is going to be a good one. The Minden game is going to be a really good one. So I think that there's a lot still there on the table for them. But their goal is December.
Right.
They want to be booking a room at the Hyatt in New Orleans, and they want to be playing in the Dome. So I don't see them letting up one bit.
Yeah, and I loved we had our photographer Madeline there to cover that game for us, and I told her, give her some pointers as she headed out, and I was like, well, look, when this game ends, and if it's North DeSoto win, you look for the number 15, and you put a mic in front of his face and see what he says. And the first thing that he said when she put the mic up was, the only thing on his mind going into this game was that game 2 years ago when they were in the year they made the Dome, and Northwood goes down to Stonewall and beats them by 1 point. It was his last chance to play him. He didn't want to go out like that. So I know there's a lot of kids on Northwood that feel the exact same way. But,
sure.
It's interesting when you hear a high school kid be that matter of fact, and this was this was our goal. And then Coach Dunn said exactly what you just said. This was nice, but we're looking way further than this.
Yeah, well, my son really wanted to beat Manny.
Yeah, right.
And that wasn't happening. So you take what you can you take what you can get out of those situations,
right.
And you look back on it 10, 20 years from now, and you're like, man, we were competitive against a really good team that went very far. And so it's easier for us. It was easier
right.
knowing Manny was in the Dome every year playing for the biggest game, the state championship every year. But Northwood will be just fine.
Yeah.
People need to realize that, hey, even though it was a week 4 loss, it was a week 4 loss. It's harder to take if it's a week 8, 9, or 10 loss, or even first or second round of the playoffs. So expect Northwood to only get better from this point forward.
Right, and you battle hard against a top-ranked team in 4A. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
I tell you, a team that going to 3A now, a team that just continues to pleasantly surprise us, and we've mentioned them here on the show a few times. It's the Fighting Christopher Wilsons of Spring Hill.
Yep.
Those Northwestern Knights, they beat Homer. We talked about them beating Minden. You just love when you see a team start to kind of get it. And it feels like that's what's happening in Spring Hill.
Yeah, they're growing up right before our eyes. We get to see the maturation process of a team coming together, buying into the vision and belief and culture that Coach Wilson's instilled in those kids, and they're playing really good football. And I'm excited for him because I know he really wanted to be able to establish a culture and put his fingerprint on it. And so you could see that in the way they play. They play hard, but they're in these games too, like games that you wouldn't think they'd be competitive if they're winning, right? And then games where they should win, they dominate. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, and their only loss of the year is Haynesville.
Yep.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Haynesville's going to beat everybody on their schedule.
Right. So pulling for them. They are hosting Garrison out of Texas this week. Yeah, I don't know anything about Garrison. They're not in our area, so we'll just pull for the Knights there. I guess we'll start digging into this week's games in our game of the week, and this one we were kind of debating on where we should go here, but we stuck on Minden at Loyola.
It's a good matchup.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a good matchup. Loyola's going to score a ton of points this year. 56 this past Thursday against Southwood. I got to watch the tape. Because we play Southwood this week, and what stood out on film with Loyola is they don't make mistakes on defense. They're sound in the box. They're sound in the secondary. They've got speed at their skill positions. They block really well up front, and Sella does a good job of calling plays and attacking voids in space. And at the same time, he kind of knows your tendencies. So you'll see, Southwood line up and bring pressure, and he's throwing up. He calls a screen, and it's little things like that just add up every single week. And so, and they're very layered and nuanced in the way they do things. So a play will have a certain look one week, it'll be the same play with a different window dressing the next week. And that's very much a Stephen Jeter thing. I mean, coaching with him 2 different occasions at Loyola, Stephen was a really good play caller. And he helps Sella out a lot in making sure that they have, what he's seeing is what's actually happening, and helping him call plays. And so that matchup is unique because I believe they play Minden at home. They get them at Messmer. Messmer is a fun place on a Friday night to play. Yeah. You can hear the gong from the Red River. There's just something about that. It's a lot like Preston Crownover. But it's a smaller environment, and it's really the only thing on its side of the road. And it's fun. It's fun to play there. And so Loyola's hard to beat at home. It doesn't matter who they're playing. When I was there, we hosted ULab in the quarterfinals, and I think it was 40-29 was the final in that game, and they went on to win back-to-back state championships. We played them better than we were on paper. And it's just the kids play hard at home. The Loyola kids just play hard in general, but Minden does too, and they're trying to figure some things out. And so I fully expect that they're going to come in with a game plan to ball control Loyola. I would expect that. Establish a line of scrimmage, win up front, be physical, make it a messy, just ground and pound type, ball game. And they cannot let Bryce sit in the pocket and pick them apart. He's got 4 receivers. Mason Drake's a stud out of the backfield. You've got to have a plan to put pressure in his face, force him to run, and he's got the wheels to beat you with his legs, right? But he's a pass first guy. Eyes are always downfield, so they got to maintain their leverage down the field. They got to maintain their space. They got to stay in phase with the receivers. This is Minden's secondary. They've got to do that. They've got to create pressure. They've got to spill runs. If you allow them to run between the tackles, Mason Drake will run it down your throat. Yep. And I think Minden can do that. They have a very unique scheme on defense where they can get in a 4 down front, they can get in a 3 down front, and they can bring twists and stunts. And everybody does it, but they've got really big-bodied guys at Minden. Big, physical, imposing guys. In the box, they look like a D1 team. They're big, big, big. So I fully expect that Minden will have a game plan for both sides of the ball and special teams. Here's the deal. They haven't been great at keeping the ball, not turning the ball over, according to Coach Hurd, in previous interviews. that's going to be the story of the ball game. You know, a run game travels, a defense travels. Turnovers, doesn't matter how well you play. You turn the ball over, it's hard to win. So Loyola doesn't turn it over. And that's going to be the key. Like, you know, who's +1 at the end of the night? That really will be the, you know, I think be the deciding outcome of the ball game.
And I feel like there's so many interesting storylines to this because you look back in last year, it was a game of the week for us last year, and it was all Minden in the pit. Now it kind of feels like the roles are reversed a bit, where Loyola is kind of rolling through this season.
They're undefeated.
Right, and Minden is, like you said, they're trying to figure some stuff out. You know,
they're better than their record says.
Right, and you know they've got a chip on their shoulders.
Yes.
Because, look, we sit here and talk about things that don't go their way because that's what happened, and I think that it's going to be. I'm hoping we get 2 in a row here because, you know, we talked about last week's game of the week, but man, that could not have hit better for us. That was incredible. So hopefully we have it again.
I think Minden is going to show up and make it a game. I do not see it as a blowout, and I'm not being disrespectful to Loyola at all. I just think that Minden brings things to the table that they can be problematic on offense too. They're a misdirection team. Yep. They're a gap scheme team. So I think that game is going to be competitive, and I would, you know. Would I be surprised if Loyola, you know, pulls out a blowout? Yeah, a blowout. Yeah, just because of how athletic and how big Minden is. But would I be surprised if Loyola wins? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They, to me, are the better team going into the ball game, based off of what I've seen on film, and knowing Bryce, and you take the pieces and kind of knowing what both teams do well. Loyola calls. It's going to be a really good game, very competitive.
Yeah, and you know, we got to start finding the numbers on when we have a guy on this show, how they perform after. Because I feel like for Bryce, I mean, I know it's not us, but he was on our show and then he was up and up and up and up. So we got to figure that out. We call it the point after bump that you get when you come on the show. I mean, we got to get Bryce back on here. Great kid. Let's go through some of these other games. You know, whereas last week it was incredible, the slate. This week, I don't know. But one that kind of jumps out to me, I think it could be interesting, Shreve at Airline. Yeah,
I think that is a very interesting ball game. I think that Airline is nursing a loss, and Shreve and Airline is usually a war. So I think that's going to be one of the games where Scoggins want to score another 50 or so, and I'm sure Coach Welburn wants to do everything he can to do the same thing. If Airline can stop the run, it's going to be advantage Airline. And no one has figured out how to stop that Shreve run game yet. So that's going to be one of the ones that I'm looking at halftime. Let's score.
Yep, Jamarce Plater has been unbelievable again this year, and we saw Darby making plays. He was playing everywhere Friday. He was on defense, playing a little corner. He's returning kicks. He's getting handoffs straight from straight as a running back. How tough is it to, or how much do you want to, when you have a guy like that, make sure he's touching the ball as much as possible?
Look at our stat line for our quarterback,
right?
Montreville Lewis. He plays safety and he returns punts and kicks. He's the best football player on our team.
Yeah.
We want the ball in his hands as much as possible. So it does not surprise me at all. We put Montreville at QB last year. We put him at running back. We put him in a slot. We put him at outside. We stuck him at linebacker. We put him at corner and safety. He's that kid, and Darby is that kid.
Yeah, love it, man. What about Parkway at Bird? Bird does get their first win of the year at homecoming last week.
Parkway's had Bird's number.
Yeah, that's what I was.
They have. I mean, even the Harrison Ayers team struggled to play Parkway. Last year it was a couple turnovers that were the difference early on in the ball game.
And that was Parkway with Gavin's. That was his first start. So totally.
And they just routed them.
Right.
You know, and so I think that game is going to be a tough one. I do think Parkway has to go there though.
Correct.
So it'd be interesting to see, but I think Parkway's got the advantage.
Yep, I agree with you there. If you like points on a Thursday night, I think we got you some points on a Thursday night. Evangel at Huntington.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be I'm going to be over 100 points combined scored in that ball game.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. And look, Huntington's offense, I'm blanking on the quarterback's name off the top of my head, but he has really been good this year.
Yeah, that's I guess he's a transfer that moved in. He spins it really well, very athletic. Last time I looked, he's like top 5 in passing in the state, so that's very impressive. Huntington's going to have to outscore Evangel where they're going to have to generate turnovers. Hey, and that's one thing Airline did. I mean, Pop hasn't been throwing picks, and he threw a bunch of picks Friday night. I think it's like three picks. So that's very unpop-like numbers, but a really good defense can do that to you. So.
And how do you process that as a quarterback, especially someone that has all the hype and the accolades like Pop, and you have a game that is the biggest game of your year, and
it happens all over.
You throw 3 picks. I mean, what?
It's a number of things. Number one, it is a quarterback. Is it my fault?
Right.
Was I late with the ball? Did I force the ball in an area that there was a defender? Did I throw it blindly into a spot where I wasn't sure of myself? Did I work through my progression and my read keys? If you should be able to answer all those very quickly. If it's a tipped ball, that's not my fault. I make sure the quarterbacks don't feel like our guys don't feel responsible for balls that are tipped at the line of scrimmage, unless they come up and just throw it right into the face mask of the guy. But sometimes the balls are tipped at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they're tipped at the second level. That happens. Underthrown balls because you have pressure in your face, that's not on you.
Right.
If you're throwing off platform and you expose the ball, meaning you throw it in an area where you're not 100% certain you can fit it in there, that's on the QB. So as a quarterback like Pop, he knows why those interceptions happen. So I don't think that he's getting gun shy. Now, if it's all happening from the pocket and he's sitting in there and it's not, he's not sure if he has the throw or whatever, that can cause you to see some ghosts and not be 100% certain to cut it loose. And now you start holding the ball.
Yeah.
But only he knows that, and I'm sure between playing with his dad's on the sidelines and then Coach Duron, I'm sure he's getting coached up on those little mistakes. And a lot of times it's receivers aren't in the right spot.
Right.
Receivers cut routes off or rounded things off, and so there's a lot of things that go into interceptions. It goes on the quarterback stat line, but at the end of the day, it's not always on the QB.
It literally happens to all of them.
Yep.
It doesn't matter the level. You're just going to have games like that. And hey, you still got the win, so you're happy either way. Maybe more points here in Natchitoches. Houghton goes down to face the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs.
There you go.
Yeah. They scored a bunch of points on Parkway, but they never stopped Parkway. And that's going to be the thing. If they can stop Houghton this week, then they got a shot. So I think that the last time that game happened, we played them in 23, and it went into overtime.
Yeah.
And we lost a heartbreaker right
right
after losing to Parkway the week before on a last-second field goal.
Yep.
So I think that Natchitoches Central, gets back on the winning path this week, and they're going to have a hard time stopping Owen and company down there.
Yeah, absolutely. You just saw Booker T. Washington. They go to North DeSoto.
It's a tough one.
It is. Yeah.
Best of luck to Coach Cooper and his boys. They played really hard. Their quarterback's very good.
Yeah.
They got 3 really good receivers. You have a very young, talented, athletic team. Last year, Booker T was, I believe, in the lead at halftime. That's right. Booker T can score on anybody. And they did some good things on defense, but they are very explosive. So I think that they're going to be able to move the ball. I think North DeSoto is going to see a quarterback, a 6'4", 6'5" QB for BT Dub that can spin it. And he spins it as well as anybody in our area. That people don't know about this kid. He's legit. Yeah. And he throws a beautiful catchable ball. He hits windows. He throws on time. He just, no one knows about him. Right. So watch out for that, because that could be one of those games where, North DeSoto's been up here every week, really hard games. Don't overlook the Lions. They can play. Well,
that is the Kim Anderson game of the week. My wife will be shooting that, so I'll tell her to keep an eye out on that quarterback.
The ball will be in the air all night.
Love it. And she follows it pretty well. You'd be surprised. She's getting a lot better with the camera. You guys are at Southwood. Interesting matchup. Southwood 2-1. What do you think about that?
Oh, they look really good. On film, you could tell that Coach Woodty and Gabriel Larry, my former quarterback, he's coaching QBs over there. Mike Lynn, another Parkway alum, TCU alum, Dallas Cowboy alum. He's coaching tight ends and receivers over there. And so they're doing some good things. And people, at Southwood have a lot to be excited about. And so, we hope to go in and compete and try to get over, last week's game and put that behind us and build toward the next one. And so this is a game where I think we're their homecoming. and they want to do everything they can to have a great homecoming experience, and we want to go over there and ruin it. So
fair enough, man.
We're going to go turn them loose.
Love it. We already talked about Minden Loyola. Woodlawn at Northwood. Woodlawn, a team that we haven't really seen a ton of this year on the show, but from what we have seen, they look pretty good.
Yeah, they do a really good job running the ball. They're physical. They're big. They fly to the ball on defense, and they do some things on defense that can confuse kids on the offensive side of the ball, especially offensive linemen. So I expect that the game starts out somewhat competitive, but I still think Northwood's going to be too much for them.
Yeah, same here. We already talked about North Webster. I mean, Magnolia School of Excellence at Calvary. Yeah.
I wish them luck.
Yeah.
I really do, because I think they scored 14 Friday night against North Caddo.
Do you know where they played that game?
I think they played at North Caddo.
Oh, okay. So they just must have gone up there instead.
Yeah,
Okay, because
I
I went by Magnolia, nothing. Went by Mesmer, nothing.
Yeah.
And I just hauled it to Lee Hedges.
Yeah, no, I think they were at North Caddo.
Okay.
They've got a really good quarterback, and one of their receivers is really good, and they got a lot of young guys. So, if you get a chance and Magnolia's playing down the road, go support those kids, because they're out there and they're playing their tails off.
Yeah, but this is a tough one. It's one of those, Calvary gets into district, and that's how it goes. And Calvary, obviously, they went to Darbon Woods, played well.
And that's a jump, too, for Magnolia. I mean, they played Glenbrook. They played North Caddo. I don't remember who else they played. That's two really tough teams.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you're playing Calvary, who's got, dome aspirations.
We're talking about different level. I mean, it's just, they're the same district, but it's a different level.
It's not. No, it's not. It is the same district, but it's not the same level of play. And it's a tough one.
100%. Darbon Woods at Green Oaks, which is actually being played at Booker T. Washington. I mean, I think I like Giants here.
Yeah, I think Green Oaks gets it rolling. They looked really good in the Soul Bowl and put it on BTW. So I really think that Darbon Woods will cause some problems for them offensively. The way their scheme is tough to stop. But if they can ball control and keep the really good quarterback off the field for Green Oaks, they can make it a ball game. But they have to ball control.
Right. Union Parish making the trip to Homer.
That's a tough one, because Union Parish has played a very tough schedule. So I don't even know what Union. I don't even know if they're any good.
Right.
Just because they played really good teams. I mean, they've been shut out. But they won Friday night, and I think they won pretty big. So that's a hard one to pick.
Yeah, definitely. The Pelicans, they've had a weird season. I mean, so far you beat Minden, or I'm sorry, you beat Houghton, and then you lose to Minden, you lose to North Webster, and obviously Haynesville. You got to think they got to, that's going to turn around here at some point, because that team is very
tough games too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I like Homer, and it is a Homer pick.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well done.
There's my bad joke of the night. Mansfield at North Caddo. I'd say Wolverines here all the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, there we go.
The Wolverines are going to roll.
No need to go any more into that. This one is Ash goes to Manny.
Ash and Ash big.
Yeah.
Manny is.
And that's not a knock on Manny.
No, Manny's still figuring things out.
Right.
Coach Hassel's doing a really good job. They had a couple of key pieces go down in the last game. One of them is one of their best players, plays free safety, plays fullback for them. That's at a school like Manny, where you have limited resources as far as athletes. You got to play your best guys both ways. That's tough when you bring in a 5A, powerhouse in Ash. And so I'm sure the Ash will travel well, have a good gate. It'll be a great environment. I'm sure Manny will be competitive, and they'll have game plan to stop Ash. But ultimately, Ash will overwhelm them there in the second half.
Yeah.
And it'll be one of those games where you really hope Manny can get out of there healthy, because when they get into district, it's where they can make their money.
Absolutely. All right, let's pick. We did Coach Harper's Arkansas pick of the week last week, and you nailed it. 1-0. The Prescott Curly Wolves. They get it done over Falcon.
Thank you, Curly Wolves.
Of course, you knew.
I knew nothing about them.
So, with that being said, I figured we would pick a game this time that we were going to have a highlight of.
Okay.
We have for you, out of Arkansas still. We'll stay in Arkansas this week. Mineral Springs at Junction City. The Dragons of
What's the
Junction
records?
City. Well, top of my head, I got to look it up now. But we can do that because this is a podcast. We can do whatever we want.
I don't know if Junction City is the same Junction City I'm thinking of.
It probably is.
I have a buddy that coached in Arkansas, and I heard that the Junction City team was decent, but I can't remember if that's.
Well, they're right there on the border.
Yeah.
They've played Haynesville a few times. They've come down and played them. They have won some state championships there in Arkansas, and I picked a bad one for you, Coach. This is an easy pick. I can't
Mineral
tell
Springs.
you. I can't tell you the record. The record would give it away. It would be too easy for you if I gave you the record.
Well, I mean, I don't know either team.
Mineral Springs is 0-4. All right, that's all I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll have to go with Junction City.
Let's go with the Dragons.
I mean, I said them first.
You did.
My
You
buddies, coach there talked about them a lot. So
yeah, and they I want to say their only loss of the year. I cannot for the life of me remember who it was to, but we ran those highlights. Went off the stream. That's what I'm going to do for here. They got a great stream on YouTube. Shout out Dragon Sports Network. They do a great job. But it was one of those, they gave it up a last-second drive right at the end to lose. That's been their only loss of the year. So 3-1 against 0-4. We'll go Dragons all the way. So you're looking maybe at a 2-0 record here to get us going.
Maybe.
I did want to ask you before we wrapped it up a few other things not related to high school football.
Okay.
I'm kind of throwing a curveball here, so my apologies to that. Garrett Nussmeier in the LSU offense.
I think Garrett's hurt.
Yeah.
I think he's been hurt all year. I think that part of the narrative that we heard in fall camp was to put it out there that he's injured. The fact that he had an oblique strain and then he had a patella issue. He's not throwing the ball like Nuss threw last year.
Yeah.
So I do think there's some injury there. I will say this. I think a lot of their offensive problems have to do with the offensive line. People are griping because they can't run the ball. They're replacing every guy on the offensive line. DJ Chester, who played for them last year, is not even a starter. So when that's the case, you have a jumbled mess. You have a bunch of guys with talent, but it takes 5 guys playing cohesively for it to work. So I think that people need to just back off. There's no reason to go raise funds to get rid of Brian Kelly to pay his buyout. The offensive line is the problem. The defense is playing as well as it's played. They look really, really good. Had moments last week where they got themselves in some situations, but they seem to manage it. But LSU will be fine. I think that they've got to figure out the O-line. I think it's a major problem. There's several series where the right tackle didn't block anybody in the pass pro. He didn't know what – I don't think he even knew he was supposed to be pass blocking. He was just late getting to his spot. And so when you see that, that's a sign of problems.
Right.
And it's a sign of personnel issues. And they're putting that guy there because he's the best option at the time. And we refer to at the field house, we refer to Montrevel as the franchise. And so anytime we have an offensive line change, the one side that I want to be perfect is the left tackle, because Montrevel doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. Every single offensive coordinator and head coach and NFL coach, doesn't matter, they all feel the same way. Delafield's left tackle is probably a dog. Bryce's left tackle is probably a dog. Same thing in Natchitoches Central, Parkway, doesn't matter. Whoever the QB is, your left tackle, your center, those are kind of your anchor points of your offense. You need a good snap, and you need a left tackle that can take a high rush in and run him up the field, protect the backside of the QB. So I do think that the offensive line is the problem, and I do think that what you're seeing every week is a weaker offensive line because they're trying to figure out who the best 5 are. But I don't think there's any reason for people to panic just yet.
Right.
If it doesn't get fixed,
on a bye week, a good time bye week.
If it doesn't get fixed after the bye week, then there's cause for concern. And now you may have some adjustments that you have to make.
Well, I know for me, coming at it from a different perspective from someone in the media, and I know Michael Cobble very well. He's the guy that asked him the question a couple weeks ago when he got all fired up, right?
It was a good question, and it should have been asked.
It was totally fair. But I think that's the issue with Brian Kelly right now, is that he spent all fall camp telling us over and over and over how good this team was. This is the team that's going to make it. And then he gets questioned fairly, in my opinion, after they struggled to beat a bad Florida team, just after they struggled against Louisiana Tech the week prior, and he goes off, calls you spoiled and all this stuff. It just doesn't hit right, and then you go and have a dud at Ole Miss, your first real test, because Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson stinks.
Right.
They stink, right? I mean, they're terrible.
Yep.
So that win doesn't look great.
Not at all.
And it was a 17-10 game or something. It wasn't even like we didn't score many points. We didn't score against Tech. Like, that's a cause for concern.
Well, Tech seems like the best team they've played.
But their defense, Texas defense, legit. So you can give a pass on that game. Southeastern, not in the same.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even bring that game up. But when you watch the Florida game, Florida's defensive line is really good. Their defense is good. So, okay, what am I watching? Ole Miss rolls in there, and LSU looks like the Bad News Bears offensively. And I just think that what I saw on the field was just the offensive line is just discombobulated. Like, it doesn't seem to be a cohesive unit, and that's why they can't run the ball. And I'm going to tell you, as a play caller, when you don't trust your O-line, you're very conservative as a play caller. Very conservative. And this is where I think Nuss gets himself in trouble. If he's not 100% and the offensive line plays not great and he operates outside of the construct of the offense, where you see him force some things to generate explosives because they're not generating them by, just getting in series and making plays, he starts forcing it downfield. That's where you see the worst part of Nuss's game, where people have a problem now even saying, should we play Van Buren more? That's you can ask that question after some of the decision making he had last week.
Right. Yeah, that's totally fair. So hopefully they can figure it out. I know the hopes have been very high, and in this era of college football, you're okay to drop one of these games. It's okay. It's far from over, but we're hoping they can get something going after the bye week. Now, finally, you were at the actual game of the week. And just football in general. Yeah. Cowboys-Packers, you were in the house, the 40-40 overtime tie. We talked a little bit about it off air, but I guess from a coach's perspective, when you're watching an offensive coach specifically, you're watching two offenses operate at that high a level, it's got to be like the best thing in the world for you to watch.
Yeah, I'm trying to put myself on, in their shoes situationally when they're calling plays. And just how they manage down and distance. Like they're NFL coaches are the masters of the game within the game. They master the situational call. And so you could see, like Shoddy, I thought, called a brilliant game. Mm-hmm. His game plan was incredible. And they had an answer for Micah Parsons coming off the edge, Micah Parsons lining up as an interior defensive lineman. They had answers if he was standing up, if he's a three-point stance. And how you could tell is how they blocked him. Chip releases, slam releases, double teams, bringing a guy in and cracking him. Like, they did all kinds of stuff. You can't stop Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. And that showed in the game. Like, I was watching Parsons every time he was out there. I normally don't do that. But the game within the game is where you saw the difference. And the fact that, as a fan of both Dallas and Green Bay, and it being a Father's Day present, being there with my son and one of his best friends, there was not a seat available in the stadium. And it was probably 55-45 Dallas Cowboy fans. Like 55%, 45%. Green Bay shows up wherever they are. And the Go Pack Go chants, like, it was loud and deafening at times. And it like just watching the two guys call plays and then masterfully move the ball down the field. Dak is playing the best he's played in his career. In my opinion, I think he's playing at the same level he played when he finished second in the MVP voting a couple years ago. Like, he looks incredible, and they're putting everything on him, everything. Not having CD, you saw, Pickens really step up and have a big night. Ferguson got involved in the game plan early. Flournoy looked really good. They got him the ball, and Tolbert. Like, they spread the ball around, so Green Bay had to cover everybody, and that took all emphasis off of just being on Pickens the whole time, which they haven't been doing that, right? Because they're force-feeding the ball to CD. So I think that helped. But the other thing is, Javonte Williams ran the ball between the tackles like he was a man possessed with the football in his hands. And I think that was the thing that stood out for me with Dallas. Green Bay is Green Bay. Matt LaFleur has a very unique play calling style. He's a West Coast offensive guy. He would throw those quick screens. He'd run the ball, play action. Quick screens, run the ball, play action. And you almost knew when it was coming, and Dallas still couldn't stop it. To see the completion percentages and the amount of yards that were thrown, both quarterbacks finished in the high 70 percentile in completion percentage. Both quarterbacks didn't turn the ball over. Both quarterbacks just masterfully, managed the clock, except
when
it mattered the most. And being a Green Bay fan, why are you throwing a screen pass? You're in trip snub and you throw a screen pass and you have no timeouts.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
It was.
If you're tackled in bounds, and then we just mosey on up there and then throw 4 verts in the end zone. Like, I just didn't like that. I liked the game plan up to the last 2 plays, which I do believe that at that point it was all on, Jordan Love to manage that moment and get him in the right play call, so you didn't have to change personnel. And I know he probably had 2 plays in his head when he called it. He probably called 2 plays the first of the series. I get that, but that was the difference in Micah tackling Dak for the sack, kept him out of the end zone, and then I didn't hear one station or pundit talk about it. Not one. I drove all the way back home from Dallas Monday right after practice. I missed practice that morning. Drove all the way home. The difference in the ball game was in the first half when the Cowboys blocked the PAT in the first quarter, and they ran it back for the 2-point conversion.
Oh, yep.
If they don't do that, there is no overtime. Like, Green Bay will win the ball game. So it was a little frustrating that wasn't talked about, because that's effort.
And so often plays like that get overlooked, but when you look back, there it is.
It's an effort play.
Yeah.
And I told Eli, he was sitting next to me, and he's screaming and going nuts. He's like, it's 13-2. This is stupid. I hate this score or whatever. Like, that will bite the Packers in the butt at some point. In the NFL, one mistake is magnified. And so that one, the clock management was excellent up to that point. You're talking really 2 plays that were not great, and they were the last 2, but they were still in field goal range, so it could have been a disaster. And then the block PAT. That was the difference in the ball game. But it was excellent, man.
Yeah, well, I was jealous of you. I saw the picture on Facebook. I was like, dang.
Yep.
He's at a good one. So love it, man. Always appreciate having the time to sit here and chat with you. Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, it's going to be an interesting week. Just watching some of these high school scores. I know the matchups aren't great, but you're building that midpoint. This is the midpoint. After this,
right. Now
it's that downhill slide to playoffs, and so every game matters. So it's going to be interesting moving forward.
It's hard to believe we're already in October, week 5. I mean, playoffs are a month away, essentially, and it's going to be a great time as always. Well, Coach, thanks as always, and thanks to you for hanging out with us here on the 3 Fever Point After podcast. We will see you for Southern Classic Chicken Friday Football Fever every Friday at 10:30 on KPXJ.